mystery box day and I'm afraid to open this, but we're gonna do it and we are gonna be making some fall DIYs because that is the theme for the love of fall. You're watching Whiskey and Whit. My name is Whitney and this is the latest installment in the DIY Mystery Box Challenge. This is a challenge hosted by Courtney over at Creative on the Cheap. If you have not checked out her channel, be sure to do so. If you love my content, you will absolutely love what she does as well. It is a DIY Secret Santa on DIY steroids, essentially. So there is a list of creators. There's some that are regulars, some that are new each time, so we get new faces, which is awesome. And you're going to get a list of things that you have to follow, rules, stipulations, when you pack a box and send it to the person whose name you got. Here are all of the YouTube DIYers participating this round. Everybody's going to be in a playlist down below so you can watch my video. Then you can go on to Kelly's from Kelly Barlow Creations. I sent my box to Kelly, and then you can loop all the way around through everybody, back to Wendy, and then back to me. This box came to me from Wendy over at White Sparrow Living, and it is so cute. She also put For the Love of Fall over here, which is the theme for this round. And that brings me to the next tidbit, which is the guest host. So for 2024, we have been doing guest hosts each time. And this time it's Christina from Christina Elizabeth. So she picked For the Love of Fall for her theme. I will have on the side of the screen here all the stipulations for the box. It's everything from a wood item to a challenge item that is a random item from your garage. So Christina, I think, did a great job. She themed it to fall, but also made it a little difficult to pack up a box. Okay, level 1 complete. Now we got to open the actual box. Card, which is heavy. There's something in here. Whoa. Happy Mystery Box, Whitney. I did a better job with this one since the last box should have been sent to a church. I just know you're going to make lots of fall projects. I'm excited to see what you come up with. Fall smooches, Wendy Sue. God's love be the light. Cute. Thank you, Wendy, for the magnet. We'll start there. Okay, the first thing I'm seeing are these really fun pumpkin lights from Dollar Tree. These are from the $5 section, and this is for the something pumpkin. Ooh, I've not seen these at my store. They're like metal, and they've got little pumpkins on the front. Item number 2. Oh, cute. This is sender's choice, so she could pick whatever she wanted. There was no rules on that. A little beaded pumpkin here. That's cute. I haven't seen that either. She's got new and different stuff at her house. Or at her house. At her Dollar Tree. You guys, I had to film that intro like 5 times because my pregnancy brain, like usually I'm like, okay, this is what I'm going to say. And I just say it. And now it's like, this is what I'm going to say. And then halfway through, it's like, what was I talking about? I don't even know. And speaking of pregnancy brain, I'm coming to you from the future because I forgot to mention the twist. Of course I forgot to mention something. And this is actually really fun. Christina gave each of us a theme. So mine is apple cider and donuts. So I have to figure out how I'm going to incorporate that into one of these DIYs. So next item. Ooh, sender's choice roving yarn. Nice and floofy in this white color. Okay. This is something orange. Oh! Okay, a little folder. A little binder, actually. Okay, she made a face, so she knew that was going to be a little bit difficult. So, okay. She knew what she was doing there. Some form of fabric. This is beautiful. This is like a embroidered like flower fabric and some orange. So those are really pretty. Oh my gosh. I got the same thing for fall last year and I made a Sanderson Sisters jug. And so she put something wood. Okay, so I'm going to have to figure out what I want to do with that. And I can't do what I did last year because I got to be creative. Oh my gosh, what are these? How cute. Oh no, no. We're going to fix it. Okay. I fixed it. Let me untie these because these are so cute. They're sender's choice. Wendy childproofed these, and I'm obviously not smarter than the childproofing. We're obviously going to make them over because they're a little shiny, but they're $5 from the Dollar Tree Plus section. Okay, I'm not mad. That made up for the binder. Okay, so here is, she tucked these in. These are the floral. You have to have a fall floral based on Christina's rules. Okay, so we've got some of these like white pumpkin bush from Dollar Tree. And then what are these? Oh, these are Mom's. Oh, okay. I have some similar to these in my stash already, so we might be able to make something a little more full. Challenge item time. So these are wrapped separate if you're new so that it's like a surprise as you open it. Let's go with the beauty section item first. Just feel like there's only so many things in a beauty section, but like anything can be in your garage. One day. Ah! What is that? Not one loofah, but two. See you. All right, that's a big old question mark there. That's okay. This is the random garage piece. I have no idea what it is from touching it. Sometimes you like hold it and you're like, it is this. I've got no clue. I'm scared to see what's in here. Oh, okay. This is not as like spooky as I thought it was gonna be. The loofah is definitely worse. Okay, this is a medallion. It looks like it's supposed to go on your ceiling fan. Okay, so Wendy, you came at me with this. You were like, take it and make something. This is not as bad. So, okay, give me a minute. I'm going to think on this, and then we are going to get crafting. Here we go. For this project, we are going to use the white fabric from the box. I also grabbed some of these Dollar Tree styrofoam balls and these little bamboo skewers from Dollar Tree. And I also needed to grab some white fabric from my stash because the amount that came from Dollar Tree was lackluster. So I needed to supplement it a little bit to get the look I was going for. I kind of folded the corners so I could get closer to a perfect circle. You kind of want the ends not to be perfect, but I want it to be kind of in a square. Then I cut a similar size in the white fabric and put it over the top of the styrofoam ball. I recently saw these really cute ghosts on Etsy. It was served to me as an ad. I wasn't even looking for Halloween decor, but they were so cute, so I decided to make something similar because Wendy had sent me the perfect fabric for it. Now, originally I was going to make 3, but again, I didn't have enough, and I really wanted the outside to be this beautiful, like, applique, like, eyelet kind of style fabric. So no worries, I made 2. I needed to go through with my Easy Press and press it because Dollar Tree fabric is notorious for being super wrinkly, but once I got the wrinkles out, I was able to set it in the center, wrap it around, it looked way better, and then I tied it tight around the neck part with some jute twine. Once I tied on that fabric ribbon, the last thing my little ghosties needed were some eyes made out of black felt. I just cut them by hand and glued them on, and these are so cute. Then it was time to make these guys stand up. So I trimmed my skewer to 2 different heights. I wanted them to sit next to each other but not be the same height. And then I took a wood bead, glued it to a just wood round ornament that I had in my stash, and then I glued the stick inside the wood bead. So it would sit up, I had to hold it, but once it's set up, these were so cute. I love that they give off the primitive vibe, a little more vintage. I'm more fun Halloween than spooky Halloween, and this fits in with my fall decor. I love these. Let's grab that wood beaded pumpkin and the yarn from the box. Now, I saw on the outside of the yarn container, it said perfect for hand knitting projects. Now, I've never done that, but I went to trusty YouTube and I found a video that showed me how to hand knit a pumpkin. So I'm like, okay, how hard could this be? It really wasn't hard. It was just pretty tedious. And the tutorial I found was actually great. I would definitely recommend it. It's from the channel. She's crafty and she knows it. I will link it down below. And I just followed it. You basically do a hand stitch for the bottom and then you make all these loops around the outside. Once you get to the spot where it can start curving in on itself, you kind of start doing that. And then she shows you how to tighten the bottom, tighten the top, and add a stem. Once I had the shape of a pumpkin, I took some polyfill from my craft closet, filled that up, and then it was time to get a stem. I ended up taking that wood pumpkin. Then I needed a stem, which is why I grabbed the wood beaded pumpkin. I used my tin snips to remove the wire from the top part, and I saved all those beads because we're going to use them later. But once I got everything trimmed, it fit right in the top perfectly, and then it needed a little extra zhuzh, so I grabbed some leaves off of the floral stems from Wendy, stuck them in there, and it is perfect. I like these soft colors, but it also goes with orange, and it's not perfect, as you can see, but I definitely will be trying hand knitting again shortly. I've never tried it before, but this was fun, and I love the chunky knit look of this pumpkin. Also, Courtney is doing voting again, so the voting cheat sheet and the voting link will be down below, as well as some more information if you've never voted before. You guys have really been getting a kick out of that, so we are happy that, it's some way to get you guys involved. All right, let's tackle those jack-o'-lantern candlesticks. I really like the look of them, but I thought the shiny plastic made them look cheap. So I decided to remove those little flames at the top. They're just like a silicone. and tape the entire candle, because when I'm making this over, I want to leave the candle so it will function and be the same color in the future, because that had a little bit more of a matte texture to it. Once I have them fully taped off, I'm taking them outside and I'm giving them a primer coat of matte black spray paint. That's going to make it so the actual candlestick part is matte black instead of the shiny. It's going to make it look a little bit more high end. And then the pumpkin I'm going to cover so it gives me a good base for my acrylic paint. I took it back up to my craft room and started by using a disposable makeup sponge to add the color Spiced Pumpkin to it. I wanted to go for this kind of primitive Halloween Town vibe, and it was doing that, but the coverage wasn't what I wanted and I wasn't able to get up to the tops. So once I did 2 coats, I decided to go back through with 1 more coat with a paintbrush, and you could still see the black through it, so I was getting the look that I wanted. Then I was worried that when I packed these away for the season, they would get scratched because of, the extra paint on the plastic or chip. So I used some clear spray paint. I just gave them a good coat, and then that way I knew that they were going to be protected. Then my last step was to add some raffia and some little clippings from these cute berry picks from At Home. I've been using these all over the place. I love them so much. They just bring really great Halloween color. And I did one on the top of the jack-o'-lantern and one on the bottom to give it a little bit of visual appeal. I love how these turned out. They're definitely way more my vibe. And I love that they function too. They take 3 AA batteries, which is kind of a lot, so 6 total, but I think it's worth it, and it goes really cute with my new little Halloween garland from HomeGoods. All right, Craft Buddy, I'm not going to lie to you. This binder was the last thing I touched because I was like, what in the world am I going to do with it? Then I thought, okay, maybe I could cut this thing up, and that's when I ran with it. So I started by cutting the front and back cover off and got rid of the binder clip. And then I created this template that you can download over in my free file library. It is just a Mickey pumpkin, and there's 2 sizes, so I decided to do the larger head. I took some painter's tape so it wouldn't move on me and taped down my little template, and then I traced it with a thin lined permanent marker. My pen wasn't really showing up on the material that this is made out of. Then I trimmed it out just to make sure that I liked how it looked, because I wasn't trying to cut out a ton of these only to find out I didn't like them. I did really like them, so I decided to zhuzh them up by just kind of blotting on some spiced pumpkin, and that gave it a dimensional look with the paint. I didn't want to paint it on. I thought the blotting with light coats would help. Then I took some small paintbrushes with some brown and yellow paint and used almost a dry brush technique. I didn't want a ton of paint, and I added the grooves of a pumpkin. That really just helped from afar. When you see these, they're going to look more like a pumpkin. Once I did the brown lines, and I went back through with a little bit of yellow just to give some highlights and look similar to the Mickey pumpkins you see all over the park this time of year. Then what is a Mickey pumpkin without the face? So I cut out these faces at 2.5 inches wide on my Cricut, but there's also an option to get a stencil template from the printable. So if you don't have a Cricut, you can print that out and paint them on as well with a paint marker or something. But I added the faces by hand because I originally tried to add it with any sort of transfer tape, even low tack, and it was peeling up that paint. So I would apply them by hand if you're going to do this project. Then all I needed to do was use my hole punch to do 1 hole in each side, kind of where the pumpkin ear meets the main pumpkin. And then I strung them up on some jute twine with a dowel needle. This is my holy grail for garlands because it just makes it so much easier to kind of put everything on the jute twine really quick. I did 2 of the beads from the pumpkin we cut up earlier, and then a Mickey pumpkin, 2 beads, etc. And this garland was ready to go. I love how this turned out. You would not guess that it was a binder, and also for something that gave me such grief, it has brought me so much joy. Finn loves it too, especially because I added the lights that Wendy sent me to this garland in the back. What do you think? And then this goes up here.
Oh, that's so cute.
You've been hanging out with Mom too much. If you see decor and say, that's so cute. I caught that moment when he was turning the lights on, and I honestly thought it would just be him turning on the lights, but I love catching moments like that, and I love being able to DIY things that also bring him joy. For this one, we are going to use the fresh apple cider sign from Wendy, as well as use it in the twist. I felt like it made total sense. My twist is cider and donuts, but we are going to make this over. So I'm starting by ripping off the Dollar Tree artwork, and then I am going to use the color Territorial Beige to paint the bottom to get this to look more of like a cider. And then I'm also going to go through on the little top cork piece and use some dark brown for a little bit of contrast. Then for my craft stash, I am grabbing some of these Dollar Tree wood cutouts, and I'm using some wood filler so that they look more like just wood cutouts instead of create your own ornaments. You put it on, let it dry, and then sand it flat. Then I'm using the color Imperial from Folk Art Chalk Paint to paint these apples. This is my go-to Christmas color, but this looks so good on these apples, so I was really glad I decided to use it. I also did green for the leaf and brown for the little apple core stem. And then I'm using my favorite paint markers from Amazon to add a little bit of highlights and lowlights with white and black paint markers. Nothing too crazy, but it's really going to make them pop. And then for one of my 4 apples, I ended up applying this quick little decal. I just typed it out in Design Space. Apples, pick your own plus cider. So then that way that incorporated the cider. So now we've got to tackle the donut part, and usually I'm like, okay, let's keep this simple, especially now that I'm pregnant, and of course that's not really my MO. I usually have to make things harder on myself, do extra things. So I decided, why not let's make some play felt donuts to add to the setup. Well, it took some trial and error, but I ended up figuring out how to make them. They're pretty easy, and I've got a template for you that I made for myself. I will leave that in my resource library. All the details for that are down in the description, as well as the top pinned comment. I started by cutting out a circle and then cutting 2 pieces of felt. I'm using dark brown as well as this caramel brown felt, some for traditional donuts and then some for what look like apple cider donuts. That is my favorite thing about going to the orchard every year, is getting those apple cider donuts. Once you cut them out and cut out the center piece, then you can go right through and stitch them, or you could also take that template, cut some squiggly lines like I'm doing here, and then use that for an additional layer to add frosting. I did some dark brown frosting as well as some orange for traditional fall colors. Then to assemble your donuts, it's pretty straightforward. All you need for a simple donut is a blanket stitch and some embroidery floss that matches the color of your donut. So you're going to start in the center, and you are going to go around the entire center with a blanket stitch, and then you are going to do the outside about 70% of the way, leaving about 30% open so you can stuff it. Then you're going to take some polyfill, cotton balls, whatever you have, an old pillow, and stuff it. And then as you go, you can finish your blanket stitch, so then that way it pops up like a donut. So here's the first one I made. It looks like an apple cider donut, and I was like, hey, this looks pretty good, especially for somebody who's never done felt food before. I was patting myself on the back. Now, if you want to do the frosting, all you need to do is a quick whip stitch. So what I do is I go up through both here, the orange and the brown, and then back down just on the outside. So you're basically going around the seam. It looks really cute, and it is going to adhere it, and then you would follow the same process of hooking together the donut like I showed you before. And if that wasn't enough for me to take on this week for this video, I decided, why not make a felt play mug? That was not something I could figure out on my own, so I found a free file over on a blog and a YouTube video tutorial. I will link all those details down below if you want to learn how to do it. It was very straightforward following the tutorial, but I'm not the person to teach you that. Then we're going to glue one of our painted apples onto the cider jug, and then I created a second handle that I made for the mug, but I made it in the cider color so that it would look like cider was pouring out of the jug. We're going to glue together the 3 remaining apples with that sign in the center, and then I am adding some hot glue as well as some floral wire and a little bit of felt onto the back, and this is going to allow me to add my pieces to this old wreath that I saved from getting rid of because I was like, you know what, it kind of looks more fall. It was on my front porch, it's not UV resistant, and it was faded really bad. So I'm just sticking floral wire into those felt pieces because after this, I have a feeling this wreath might be getting taken apart because Finn would like to play with them, and that's totally fine. Or I might just be making more donuts because I figured it out. One of the 2 options. But we've got a mug that's got cider pouring in. We've got traditional donuts. We've got apple cider donuts. We've got a sign with the apples on there. And here is my twist DIY. Hey Craft Buddy, I hope you are loving this video. If you are, head down to the comments, make sure to give this video a thumbs up and let me know what you are looking most forward to for fall. My biggest thing is cooler temperatures, being able to wear jeans and flannels because it is hot here in Illinois. I know it's extra hot everywhere else around the country. I'm also really looking forward to an event that I am a speaker at in September. It is called the Gift Fest Experience, happening September 23rd through 27th, and the best part is it is free. Now you guys might have remembered before when I've talked about the Cricut Craft Fest, it is that event, but even better. They've expanded it, they've added more teachers, and they've also added classes that aren't Cricut specific. So if you don't have a Cricut, this event is now opened up for you. It is not just specific for vinyl cutting machines. Head down below, check that out, and I will have all those details for you in case you're interested.
Now it's challenge item time. So let's first grab the rainbow loofah, and we're going to start by just disassembling it. So I'm going to get rid of the loofahs, I'm going to get rid of any of those extra strings, and then I'm just going to use my scissors to cut some triangle shapes out of the rainbow. The first couple ones I did looked like a kindergartner did it, and honestly that's a little offensive to a kindergartner. Mine were way worse, so I ended up going back through and fixing them, but once I did, I had some pretty decent shapes. I don't know, the curve and the triangle, it was just throwing me off. I was able to make 5 of those, and then I also disassembled the loofah to get some of that netting that we're going to use later. I took some chalk paint, which is the color pumpkin in Waverly chalk paint, and I am painting the top as well as the 2 sides of the triangle. Don't worry about the back or the bottom because we're just going to cover it with felt. You're going to want to make sure you give them ample time to dry if you are deciding to chop up a loofah like I did, because the paint takes a little bit to dry on the sponge. I'm adding some hot glue, and then I am gluing the back of my triangle as well as the bottom onto this felt. This is just Cricut brand felt. It was the only one that I had in my stash that was like close enough to what I was going for. And once you glue it on, I find it's easier to just put it on some scrap and then trim it versus trying to cut the exact size and get it to glue on correctly. Then I went back into my stash for some Dollar Tree white nautical rope, and we're going to cut a piece the length of the top of our triangle. I needed to add a little bit of clear tape because if you've ever worked with this before, sometimes you go to cut it and literally the ends will unravel, and I wanted that nice spiral. So when I cut between the tape, then it left the finished end for the next piece, and then I also had a finished end for the piece that I was gluing on to my triangle. And at this point, you probably know where we're going, but stick with me because we're not done yet. I am going to take some of that loofah piece and actually make some little dollops of whipped cream out of it, because we are going to try, to fully use this challenge item to the full extent, because Wendy tried to stump me and I get really stubborn with these mystery boxes. I know she meant it all in good fun. I don't mean it like that. It's just funny because we all kind of get a little rivalry with each other. I rolled it up as best I could into a little dollop and glued it straight down, and then I took my little embroidery scissors and trimmed it a little bit so I didn't have all those extra little pieces coming out. Then once all my slices were done, I used some of the wood beads that we had left over from chopping up that wood bead pumpkin, and I did 3 beads and a slice of pie, 3 beads and a slice of pie all the way down. Then I thought it needed a little bit more, so I popped off 2 styrofoam pumpkins from the floral from Wendy, so we're using it a little different than a traditional floral. Added those with my dowel needle, which is a game changer for garlands. I've said it before, it's just so helpful. And this can be used a ton of different ways. The first way is just in a vignette like I'm showing here, but you can also add it to a garland. Let me show you how easy it is to make this burlap backer garland, because it'll come together in 5 minutes and it looks so fall. I like to use this burlap that I find at Hobby Lobby. If you get it in the seasonal section, it is so cheap, just a couple bucks. I grabbed that dowel needle again, as well as some Dollar Tree jute twine, and I'm going to feed this through in a zigzag pattern. So I start in one corner, go across diagonally, then under diagonally, and all the way to the end. As you're pulling it, you'll see that it gives a really pretty like ruffled ruching effect, and these are stuff that you can buy in the store, but you can make your own for much cheaper. The burlap was a little plain Jane to me, so I decided to take the fabric from Wendy and do some kind of rip rag ribbons to add. So all you have to do is take a little slit to your fabric and then pull it, and then each side is going to be a little bit kind of tattered like this, which will add to the rustic effect for my fall wreath. I ended up needing to cut the pieces in half because they were a little too long, and then I looped them around any opening where I could see the jute twine in my burlap garland. Then I thought these lights would add so much to it, so I decided to go downstairs in my mantle, add my command strips like I do for every season, and I just tied loops in the ends of all my garlands to hook them. The first layer is that burlap garland, and the way that it's all hooked, we can easily slide it either way so you can make it fit your space and get it to be all even. Then I added some batteries to my lights. These needed 2 AA batteries, and then I kind of wrapped them around so then that way it was worked into my garland and it just made the whole thing glow, which is so pretty. Now you could easily leave it as is, and this is so nice for that like afternoon, evening when it starts getting darker period. But I decided that I wanted to add my pumpkin garland over the top. So I made sure to give myself enough slack so my pies could go across. And this is a great option for fall into Thanksgiving. And you guys know me, I love lights, especially this time of year in my house. So I'm super happy with how this turned out. The other great thing is you can easily swap out the pie slices with the Mickey pumpkins. So I'm covered all season long. Now you're probably wondering, what are you going to do with that other challenge item? Well, I grabbed that medallion as well as some leftover glass from an old Dollar Tree frame, just a 4x6, and I spray painted the entire thing from Wendy black. I also covered one side of my frame glass with painter's tape, and then I used this mirror effect spray paint to do 5 thin coats on just one side of the glass. When that was all dry, I let it dry overnight. I removed the painter's tape to reveal a mirrored surface. Then I needed a little bit of extra like depth on the outside of my circle, so I used some rub and buff just sporadically, and it definitely gave me the look I was going for. Then I'm going to flip over my medallion and I'm going to add some hot glue and glue my piece of glass down so that the spray painted side is up, so your glass clean side is down. I'm using my Gorilla Glue hot glue sticks. Those do everything from plastic, metal, wood. They are really strong. So now you've got a really fun mirror, but we're not just going to leave it at that. No. I grabbed our old iPad. This was collecting dust. I charged it up and I went over to YouTube. It fit perfectly in the back of my mirror. So I used some painter's tape to hook it there and you can't see it. So when I have it out, it just looks like a fun, decorative, almost a little spooky mirror. But I found this loop of Madame Leota on YouTube, and so when it gets dark, it will shine through that mirror. How cool is this? I cannot wait to use this in my Haunted Mansion setup, and there are so many different options for these loops on YouTube that you can use. There's a ghost that even looks just like the Pottery Barn one that they're selling for $300. You can make your own version for much cheaper. I am so happy with how this turned out.
Wendy really did try to stump me with some of these items, including that rainbow loofah, but I think I came out okay. You'll have to go down to the comments and let me know what your favorite project was and how you think I did overall with this box. Also, be sure to vote when you've watched all the videos for things like your favorite projects, who was the most ruthless with their challenge items, and so much more. All those links will be down below. And up next for you is Kelly's video over at Kelly Barlow Creations. You'll have to go see what I sent her if I was nice or a little bit ruthless to Kelly this go around and see how she did with the challenge. The full playlist is linked down below, and I can't wait to hear what you guys think. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye!